This afternoon, we are another step closer to learning what will happen to an Ocean View Hills home that neighbors say has been an eyesore and a problem for years following a court hearing today. Welcome to The 4. I'm Heather Myers.
I'm Marcella Lee, and today for Carla Chiquetto. We've done several stories on the so-called hoarder house. CBS 8's Shannon Handy was in court today and joins us live from downtown with new details. Shannon?
Marcella and Heather, today's hearing was held to determine if a second hearing scheduled for March should be moved up to January. Now, lawyers in favor of the date change say this house has been a nuisance for far too long, and they need to move this hearing up to determine if it will be sold so that it can be over and done with. The homeowner, however, argued she needs more time to prepare. So listen to what both she and the opposing attorney had to say in court.
The house cannot sit out there in the way it is right now for till March or April when the hearing is going to be held, because after that decision on the hearing, there's going to have to be, depending on the way that goes, there's going to have to be a listing period, there's going to have to be people looking at the property, there are going to have to be offers, and this keeps going down and kicking down the road.
There is an irreparable harm. If you list my property for sale and the insurance comes back after the fact and is ready to fix it up, and they're going to fork over the money they should have forked over already, then we have a problem with facts. And the last issue.
Ultimately, the judge agreed the hearing should be moved up to January. Here's some background. It involves a home on Mariner Drive in Ocean View Hills owned by Lisa Golden, who you just heard from there. Neighbors say it has been an eyesore filled with hazardous materials for years. In court documents filed earlier this year, a city inspector described the conditions, saying there were piles of trash as high as 4 feet tall, rotting food, clothes, random items, and boxes everywhere. There was a smell of mold and rotting food. He also wrote there were signs of rodent infestation. Pictures show a lot of what he described. Golden, however, claims the problem started in 2021 after a court-appointed receiver was ordered to clean it up. She says the home was not as bad as it is today, and that the receiver and the crew hired to clean the home left it damaged, and she's been dealing with issues such as insurance claims ever since. On top of all this, neighbors say Golden is living in the home even though it's boarded up and uninhabitable. In fact, we covered a fire that broke out there in June. One of her neighbors who was at the hearing told me this after court.
She is living in that home, as I say, as a squatter. She's not allowed to be there. She's running a gas-powered generator, and that is her form of electricity in there. And she continues to talk about the windows and the doors being boarded up. She unscrews them and removes the wood.
You've seen her in the house?
I've seen her in the house. I've seen her in the backyard. I've seen her in the front yard.
So as you heard there, a lot of back and forth with this case. Neighbors say they are simply fed up and they just want this whole thing figured out and for this house to be cleaned up, sold, given to someone else who will clean it up. I spoke with Golden after the hearing. She says this ordeal has been a nightmare. She says the city is simply trying to steal her home from her, and she is not giving it up without a fight. Again, that hearing to determine what's going to happen with this hoarder house is scheduled for January 2nd. We, of course, will stay on top of this story and bring you the very latest when we have it. Heather and Marcella?
So, Shannon, for a little clarity here, Lisa Golden denies that she lives there. There's clear no trespassing signs on the home. Neighbors who we just heard from say that they still see her there. I know that our CBS 8 crews were out there yesterday. What did they see?
Okay, so yes, we did have a crew out there yesterday, and while they did not see the person's face, they did see someone opening and closing a door at the home. So we can't confirm who that person is, but whoever it was, no one is supposed to be in that house.
All right, we will continue to follow this case. Shannon Handy reporting live. Thanks, Shannon.